Good morning. Today we continue our devotional series in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 37. I hope you've read that. It contains some of the most famous passages in the book. Here in his third vision, Ezekiel elaborates on a hint found in the previous chapter. There we see a promise of spiritual renewal, a new heart, a new spirit, God removing a heart of stone and giving a heart of flesh. How can this renewed life happen for God's people? As they were scattered and exiled and seemingly defeated in that moment, they needed hope. Now that brings us to this vision in chapter 37. It is vivid and described even in modern worship songs in detail. Ezekiel sees a valley filled with dry, bleached bones, and he is told to prophesy to them. Prophesy to the bones. Now imagine preaching to dry bones, speaking to something symbolic of death, so very lifeless and void, it sounds counterintuitive. And how pointless might that have felt? But as we know, with God, what once was dead, dry, and decaying can be made new, vibrant, and full of life. And that's exactly what God is getting at here. Now, as Ezekiel spoke in this vision to the bones, they started to rattle. Now think about that sound. They were rattling as they came together. How crazy must that have been to see and hear? Usually you would hear that sound maybe in the background soundtrack of a haunted house in October, but here Ezekiel is seeing and hearing what God had planned to do. Now as he assembled these bones, he attached ligaments, added flesh and skin, and he also added his spirit. Piece by piece, he put things back together. And as we read, we see that this is what God had planned to do for his people. Now, as they seemed like a dead nation, exiled, scattered, dried up, God says that he will give them new life, restore them, give them his spirit, and raise them up from their graves. As we read this chapter, we see that imagery, and what a very cool Old Testament glimpse we see of the resurrection. We also see the future reuniting of the nation in the latter verses. This is symbolized by this illustration of the two sticks coming together, which represent Israel and Judah, the northern and southern kingdoms. So not only would God give his people life, he would restore to them their identity and home. So the promises of God here are that his people will be restored, unified, and purified. And they will have one king of the line of David, the Messiah, Jesus Christ. What a great truth to remember today as we get started. And as we go back and take another look at this chapter, if you haven't already, we can be encouraged by it, that God loves to restore us even when we feel dried up and lifeless. If you find yourself there, humble your heart, confess your brokenness and need before him, die to any sin that's holding you back, and let our Father put you back together again. Now, where his spirit is, he brings life and fullness. Remember that. Let's hold on to that truth today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.